Hi all, it's Alyssa Nadworny here, and this is NPR's Book of the Day. It feels like everyone is obsessed with artificial intelligence. Is AI taking over our jobs? Is it doing our homework? Is it helping us write thank you notes, streamlining our businesses? But wait, how did we get here? A new biography of AI innovator Demis Hassabis takes us back to the beginning, seeing the world of AI through the story of one of its early champions and creators. Its author, journalist Sebastian Mallaby, tells NPR's Steve Inskeep about his new book, The Infinity Machine.
This message comes from MIDI Health, a virtual care platform for women in perimenopause and menopause. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kathleen Jordan shares the wide range of symptoms they work to address for women in midlife.
There's dry eyes, dry hair, dry skin, there's dry mouth, trouble sleeping, panic and anxiety attacks. When we ask patients about common symptoms, on average, they report 6.
MIDI Health, committed to helping women in midlife with perimenopause and menopause care, accessible via telehealth visits at joinmidi.com. This message comes from Warby Parker, prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Glasses designed in-house from premium materials starting at just $95, including prescription lenses. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you. Support for this podcast and the following message come from Strawberry.me. If you could go back and talk to your younger self, would you tell yourself that you have a job that truly makes you happy? Many people are stuck in jobs they've outgrown or never really wanted. A career coach from Strawberry.me can help you move on to something you actually love. Benefit from having a dedicated coach in your corner and get 50% off your first coaching session at strawberry.me/NPR.
We have a portrait of one of the brilliant minds whose ambition is to create an even more brilliant mind. Demis Hassabis is a leader in artificial intelligence. He co-founded DeepMind, the company that's now part of Google. In a corporate podcast late last year, the British researcher recalled the years since he started the company in 2010.
When we started DeepMind, no one believed in it. No one thought it was possible. People were wondering, what's AI for anyway? And then now, fast forward 10, 15 years, and now obviously it seems to be the only thing people talk about in business.
Hassabis himself is part of the reason. He shared the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for AI-driven research in biology. The journalist Sebastian Mallaby has written a new biography of Hassabis. It's called The Infinity Machine. The book describes Hassabis as a competitor determined to win in both science and business.
And that combination is pretty rare. If you look at Sam Altman, he's a great entrepreneur but not a scientist. If you look at someone like Geoffrey Hinton of the University of Toronto, he is a great scientist but not an entrepreneur. Demis combines those things, and he is the one who had the vision to set up an AI lab back in 2010 before AI could even recognize a cat. So there's a sort of fascination with somebody. How do they develop conviction quite that early?
Where did that vision come from?
Well, it came, amazingly enough, from his teen years. He was a chess player, the best young chess player in Britain, second best in the world for his age group. But then he got bored of chess and sort of segued into coding. And he coded up an amazing early video game. And his boss at the time kept on talking about AI. And he got this idea that he could only advance science. He had these enormous ambitions to be the new Einstein, that he could only do this if he invented a new scientific tool. After all, telescopes have helped science in the past. He thought AI would be an even more powerful tool. So right when he was 17, 18, back in the mid-90s, he was already fixated on building artificial intelligence.
What extraordinary ambition. I want to be the next Einstein.
Right, exactly. I mean, he said to me in an early conversation, well, people like Newton ultimately failed. And what he meant was, he'd explained some of reality, but not all of it, and that wasn't good enough. And, one of the mysteries here was, why would an individual be quite that ambitious about understanding the deep mysteries of science? Because this is what really motivates Demis. And the answer, I think, is that for him, it's a quasi-spiritual quest. He would use religious language in terms of his feeling of compulsion to understand nature more deeply, because that would be getting closer to his version of God.
But there's even something grander than that in this ambition, because you are effectively not just saying, I want to have my own God. I want to be the creator of God. I want to be in charge of God, unless it gets out of my control.
Yes, and Demis is highly competitive. I would say he's the most competitive person I've ever met, period. And the competition extends to kind of silly things like, he once said to me, when he was in college, he was the best table football, Fußball player in the entirety of Cambridge University. So I laughed politely. And he said, no, I'm serious. I've watched the best players on YouTube, and they don't have the snake shot, which I know how to do. And so even on something as silly as that, he took it incredibly seriously. But when it comes to building AI, it's obviously 10 times more serious. And he is determined to be the one to bring it into the world. When I met him right after ChatGPT was released by the rival company OpenAI in November 2022, he told me, Sebastian, the opposition has parked their tanks in our front yard. And that's how he viewed it.
I would say that at this point, OpenAI is still more famous than DeepMind, if that is a measure of anything. Does he still feel like he's behind?
No, I think that although OpenAI has probably more users, although it depends how you count it, because DeepMind's AI models reach Google users in enormous numbers. So you don't see the DeepMind brand when you used AI mode in Google search, but that is what you're using.
I want to ask about some of the questions that are raised about his work, which you certainly do in the book. You mentioned Robert Oppenheimer and the atomic bomb within a few pages, for example. We had recently on this program Tristan Harris. He's a former tech worker who is now at the Center for Humane Technology. And let's listen to one of his warnings about the concentration of corporate power through AI.
The only way they can justify the amount of money that's been invested into this AI industry is if they race to replace all economic labor in the economy. They're not racing to augment and support human workers. They're racing to replace human workers. And what that will lead to is unprecedented levels of concentration and wealth and power, because essentially all the money in the economy, instead of being paid to individual laborers, you're going to pay, 5 to 10 AI companies to do all of the work.
And Hassabis is there working for what would be one of those 5 to 10 AI companies. What does he think about a handful of firms, including his own, absorbing more and more of the wealth and power in society?
He would be unhappy with that. He is unhappy with that. I mean, he has pretty strong social democratic values. One of the reasons why he has refused to relocate to Mountain View, to Google headquarters, is that he kind of views Britain as a more egalitarian place. You go to the DeepMind office in London, and there are kids from the local housing projects playing soccer on the public grounds, and you wouldn't find that in Silicon Valley, where things are all private. So I think he deeply would like AI to be used in a more egalitarian way. But the question now is, does what he prefers, make a difference? I mean, if Google is effectively his overlord, does his own preference matter?
Is he like Robert Oppenheimer then, in that he's going to do the science and ultimately it'll be up to somebody else to do the arms control?
Yes, exactly. That's just what it is. And the question is, will they do the arms control? In the case of nuclear technology, it took until 1968 for the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty to be agreed. And I just hope that it won't be quite such a long lag this time.
Sebastian Mallaby, it's a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
His book is called The Infinity Machine, Demis Hassabis, DeepMind, and the Quest for Superintelligence.
And Google is a financial supporter of NPR.
This message comes from Angie. Tackling a home project? Angie can connect you with pros who do such a good job you might ask them to be your kid's godfather. Don't do that. Just trust them to get the job done. Find a pro for your projects at Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Every day, NPR reports stories that keep you informed without fear or favor. That's the promise of a free press and a democracy. It's in the First Amendment. I'm Tom Bowman, and I cover the Pentagon for NPR. Stand up for independent news coverage today by donating early for Public Media Giving Days, coming up on May 1st and 2nd. Give now at donate.npr.org.